Okay, Sunday morning talk about knitting time. I even wrote shit down today. Tell you what, trying to get a little organized. A little. Okay, so this week, so first I have to tell you a little story. Last Sunday, I'm sitting in my chair knitting like you do. And from outside, I hear the adorable voice of my downstairs neighbors slash landlords slash old friends grandbaby out in the yard having a good time. She's just screeching. Well, I see her all the time and I stop and talk to her. And so I lean out the window and I can see her down in the side yard. And I call out the window. I'm like, "Oh, Snooper Belle, what you doing, Snooper Belle?" And she hears my voice and she knows who I am. And she was holding on to a lawn chair and she lets go and takes 3 steps and does this. And my little black heart just went one little single, and I had to knit her something immediately. So the next day, I went down, raided the stash, and knit her. Well, this is too big for her right now, but I knit her a little sweater out of some stash yarn. And mainly, this is for. I think it's chilly here in Minnesota. Like it's already chilly. It's 57 today. Um, this is just to throw on over her clothes because she goes from this house down the street to our friend Jerry's house, who does in home daycare for her. And so this is the Ada Top Down Cardigan Key 1 by OGE Knitwear Designs. I wrote it all down and everything. Knit in Cascade 220 Superwash from the stash that I inherited from Cynthia. And it's got this cute little leaf detail on the front that doesn't really stand out because superwash yarn, you wash it and it goes. But it's cute and it'll keep her warm, and I had to knit her something immediately. So I knit on this a lot this week. Like the other projects got set down and this got knit. Um, so I knit it all on the wingspan shawl, the vampire feathers, as I call it, because the that's the name of the colorway on that is vampire. I don't know if I said that or not. But anyway, I didn't knit on that at all this week because I was knitting this. I did knit on the butterfly, which is by Marin Melchior. Melchior? I don't know. But we have gotten to the point where it is very long. I hate stopping in the middle of the row, but last night I was so tired, I just stopped. But I've added several sections onto it since last we spoke. And I really like it. The pattern is a little weird. Like I'm having trouble. Some of the rows are just like keeping. You'll notice there are stitch markers all along. Every 10 stitches there's a stitch marker. Every time you increase up here and we get to 10, I add a new stitch marker. Every time we increase at the end and get to 10, I add a stitch marker. So there's always a stitch marker every 10 stitches. Um, and on almost every row, it's 4 stitches or 6 stitches out from the stitch marker where you start knitting back. But on like 3 rows, it's like 3 or 5. And I'm like, I, I can't. I can't do that. It's 4 or 6. My brain has said that. So I have changed those rows to be 4 or 6. I doesn't look like it's messed up the overall look of the shawl to me. I mean, it still looks, everything still looks like it's in balance, like all of the color patterns look like they're still set up to um, go around each other to create the pooling of the, like the butterfly wings. They all look like they're still in balance to me, so I'm going to keep doing it that way because I just can't do the 3 or the 5 stitches instead of the 6 or the 4. And I think I have an old pattern, an old copy of the pattern. I should have printed out a new, or I should have done it on, I should have pulled it up on the computer. But at this point, I'm just like, meh. I am into the 3rd and final section. I am 2 sections away from being halfway done with the 3rd and final section. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and hope for the best. I have this much left of the first skein of the Earth Unique Fingering. Colorway 3003. And then I have the second ball ready to start. So I'll probably knit on that today. I'm at the point where I would like to get it done. I would like to push through and just have it, because it's been sitting in the queue for a really long time. I've been, like I said, Amy bought me the yarn for it years and years ago. I don't even know how many years, a bunch. So I would like to kind of get that one pushed out. And also it's pretty, and I would like to see what it looks like when it's done. So all of those things combine to make me sort of work on it most. I tend to be a monogamous knitter anyway. I tend to like to finish a project before going on. But I do try to branch out and do other things. But when I get into this mode where I'm like, I just want to get this finished, probably going to work on that one and just try to get it pushed out this week. I would like to be done with it by next week. Like I said, I didn't knit on the wingspan at all this week. A few other things I have here. This is a test knit I did that I didn't finish because it was a lot of math. A lot. The pattern was not like, the test knit was definitely a test, and it was, I caught a lot of, well, let me just show you. I used this notebook, and I had to take a lot of notes. This whole page is adjustments I had to do to try to figure out. And the back page, too, was me trying to math things because the pattern wasn't lining up like it was supposed to. I had to email the designer several times. And so when I finally got, and it was all this section here mainly, but because this section wasn't lined up correctly, I had to rip out back up to here and then redo. And then I had to do a lot of my own math to try to figure this out. And then the sleeves were going to be the same way. Like, you're supposed to do more of this pattern on this sleeve. And by the time I got down to here, I was going to go pick up the sleeves and do a sleeve. And I just went, I can't. Like, I was willing to test in a pattern. I didn't know I was going to have to rewrite it to get it to line up correctly. So I just, and then the other thing is, when I got to this point, I tried it on, and it was way too big, like way too big. Like, I had really incorrectly estimated the size that I needed. So I think what I'm going to do with this, let me give you the info on it before it's called the Space Clouds, and it's by Hook Mountain Handmade, and it's knitted in Knit Picks Muse Aran hand painted, which is the orangey color, and that's called Gratitude. And then it's the Wool of the Andes in Merlot Heather for the brown. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and frog it all out and knit it again in the more appropriate size for me, and see how I like it. I went ahead, so this was a test knit. I went ahead and bought the pattern to get the smaller size, and I'm going to go ahead and knit it out and see how I like it, I think. Because I really love the colors, and it would be a nice wear around the house sweater for sure. But yeah, it is. I don't want to have to figure out the pattern for the sleeves. And while I don't mind wearing an oversized sweater, I don't mind at all. Um, if I'm gonna have to math a pattern out for the sleeves to wear an oversized sweater, I'd rather just redo it and make it the correct size. So that's what's going on with that. The other thing I would like to finish is this. And this is the Walk in the Dawn cardigan by Asita Krebs. It's knit in two colors of Mash Todd Vintage, Madeline Tosh Vintage. This color was from Stash, and it was called Thunderstorm. Cynthia Stash, not my stash, not my color, but. And then, because I wanted it to pop, I went and bought this, and it's called Grasshopper. And I really loved knitting this. This was a lot of fun, which is why I need to finish it. But I did change it. Like, I put this pattern I loved, so I put it on the sleeves as well, and then I did an I-cord edge on the end of the sleeves. Like, I adjusted that. That wasn't the original pattern. The original pattern was just ribbing, I think. I didn't love that. So I did the I-cord, and I did the I-cord, as you can tell, along the bottom as well. But I need to pick up stitches and do a button band. And I've never picked up this many stitches before, like ever. The main amount of stitches I've picked up before in the past has been 4. Maybe at most knitting a mitered square. I think that's the most stitches I've ever picked up. So the idea of having to pick up all these stitches does not thrill me, but I really want to finish it. And I really want the button band. And the one thing that I want to do is, it's supposed to be just a ribbed button band, and I would like to do a shawl collar on it. Oh, I've gained weight since I made this. Let me tell you what. I would like to do a shawl collar that came up and I had, hung over. It's going to be in the Thunderstorm, not the Grasshopper. I mean, I like bright, but that would probably break my brain. So yeah, if I can just convince myself to pick up all those stitches, knitting that shawl collar would take hardly any time, and then I would have a finished cardigan, which apparently I've got to pull the stitch on and is bugging me. But, and then I could wear this, and I would like to wear this because I made it, and wouldn't it be great to wear something I made? But that's you know how sometimes things are just built up in your mind, and I'm like, I just can't with that. Like, that seems like it's really overwhelming. Well, picking up all those stitches seems like it's really overwhelming. And last but not least, the other thing I want to finish are a set of Speedy Selbu mittens by Skandir Knits in Istex Let Lopi, a rust heather, and then that's the name of the actual colorway, and then an orange that my sister bought me when she was in Iceland. And here on them, I don't know if you can see the pattern or not. And then I love the little bits in the end. Well, maybe put it on the right end. And obviously I just have the thumb to do on the left one, and then I would have to knit the whole right one. These are ones that got started. These are ones that I was working on before the pandemic hit, because I was trying to work on my color work. Thank you. And I live in Minnesota, so nice warm fuzzy mittens are a good thing. But then the pandemic happened and they got set down, and I walked away. And when I started knitting again, I picked it up and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. No, I didn't. When I started knitting again after the pandemic, I didn't take those with me to Indiana, and that's where I started knitting again. And so I just knit only projects because I was like, I just want a fresh start, get the knitting done. So that was that. So they haven't been touched. And so now I have to either figure out where I was in the pattern and start the thumb, or just rip it all out and reknit it. And I may just rip it all out and reknit it. Or I may not rip it out, and I may just, I think I have enough yarn to knit another one and the right one. So I may just do that, because over the winter I knit 4 Christmas stockings to practice color work. So I think I'm better at color work now. So I think I would like to try that again. I also think I don't want to do it on DPNs, because I think I would like to try it on the magic loop, so that I'm not having to constantly adjust the sticks as well as the yarn, because I think that may give me the ability to just focus on the yarn and getting a nice even tension. We'll see. It's on the agenda to do this fall, to have to wear this winter. So I have had, oh, I thought I'd show these things off. So I don't do knitting bags. Like, this was a gift from a bestie of mine. She made it for me just as a gift because it's sushi and I love the sushi. So I love this and I use this. But usually when it comes to bags, like, this is not a knitting bag. This is just a Marvel bag somebody made me to wear to Marvel things. And I decided to use it as a knitting bag because it's a good size. And I love Marvel, so why not? But like, this is just kept in a canvas bag. I don't tend to use knitting, made to be knitting project bags. Like, I love to look at them. If I was going to buy one, I would love to get a Fat Squirrel knit ones, but I always forget when she does a shop to update, and by the time I look, they're all gone. So I have never gotten a Fat Squirrel knit bag. It's the one thing, it's the one bag, if I was going to buy an actual, honest to God, made for knitting project bag, that's the one bag I would like to get. Because I love her, and she's given me hours of entertainment, and she makes me laugh so much. But the one thing I did buy is little Notions bags, and they're all nerdy. And this one's this Big Damn Knitter. No power in the verse can stop me. So they're all nerdy. Do I have one in here? I think I have another one in here. Oh, I do. Oh, this one's not nerdy. This one's just funny. I live for sheep thrills. And I had 2, and then Cynthia passed. And I went to the Yarn Over knitting, not retreat, but it's like, you know what I'm saying, Yarn Over here in Minnesota. And I went to that, and the vendor was there, and I bought 4 more after Cynthia died, because Cynthia had every notion known to man in multiples. And so I made myself 6 Notion bags, so that when I have a project, a Notion bag goes in, and it's got, you know, needle stops, needles for weaving in ends, cable needles, stitch markers, an ink pen, you know, all of the little things that you might need during a project in there, and it lives in that bag until that project is done. Then it comes out and goes on the shelf, and then when I start another project where I need a Notions bag, I throw it in. It's been one of the best things I've ever done for my knitting, because I just always have what I need there, and I don't have to go looking for it, so it makes it a lot easier. Right in the bag. Acquisitions. I bought some yarn this week because I needed some retail therapy. I tried to knit the Ursa like 4 times, and I was trying to use stash yarn from Cynthia, and I could never get gauge. And I tried using Madeline Tosh chunky. I tried using two things of DK together. I tried using a DK and a fingering. I tried every combination I could think of to get the right gauge. Couldn't do it. Well, and the reason was is she had all those sizes in the same colorway. Because she really loved the Mad Tosh colorway tart, and she had many, many skeins in that colorway in all the different weights of yarn, from lace through chunky. But I couldn't get it to work. And then I pulled it out and I found what looked like moth eggs in the bottom of the bag, and her yarn had been full of moths when I got it, and I panicked and threw out every skein that was in the bag, just right in the trash, out the door, gone, out of the house, just in case, because I baked 1,000 skeins of yarn to try to kill the moths, and so I'm like, if it has gotten moths again, I'm not playing this game, out the door. So I still really want to knit the Ursa. I really love the Ursa. So this week I needed yarn therapy. I was having a bad day. I only wanted a skein. I really did. That's all I wanted. But the first yarn store I tried to go to was closed, which was new because Stephen B used to only be closed on Monday, but now they're closed on Monday and Tuesday. And I mean, really, that's on me. I should have checked pandemic hours. But it was hard to get to because they've got a bunch of streets closed between, and it's only a mile there, but they've got a whole bunch of streets closed between me and Stephen B. So there was trying to get there, driving around, finally get there, it's closed. So then I'm like, I'll go to Three Kittens. I love Three Kittens. I really wanted to go to Three Kittens in the first place, but it was much further away from my house, so I decided I'd be the smart person and just go to Stephen B. So I looked it up. It was 2:30 at the time, and they closed at 3. And I'm like, fuck me. I'm like, fine, I'll go to Amazing Thread. It's way the hell out there, but I don't care. So I looked it up. They were open at 7. I'm like, fine. So I drove out there, and I do love Amazing Thread. It is a great little yarn store. They are always super friendly, super attentive, super helpful. Like, and I go in there looking like, hot garbage. I do not go in there looking like their typical upscale customer who comes in there, because they're out in the shishi frou burbs, and I go in there with Marvel t-shirts and ragged jeans and my hair in a ponytail up on my head and a little squib bun with my side shaved, so I look, but they're always super nice, and so they were really helpful. And I found this Plymouth Merino Chunky Superwash. So it's Plymouth Yarns, Chunky Merino Superwash is the name of the yarn. And they had 5 skeins in this dark gray. And this is not a color I typically wear. I love bright colors, but they only had 4 skeins of rust, and that was not going to do me. And 3 skeins of rust, even worse than 4. And so I picked up these, and then I calculated the yardage and went, okay, that's not enough for the size I need. So I picked up 2 skeins of the light gray, and what I'll do is I'll just fade it. I'll start this on top because it's top down, and I'll fade into the dark gray and do the rest in the dark gray. And it will go with lots of things. I have some of the long, 3/4 sleeve tank tops that, come down to here that I can wear this over as a crop. So that's my game plan. So I bought that, and then they're like, oh, don't forget to check the upstairs for the sale bin, and I unfortunately did. And apparently at some point Fabulous Fibers made them some DK yarn for that shop, because it's the Amazing DK, and it doesn't show up in Ravelry, so it was probably a run just for them. But oh my god, it is so soft, and it is Superwash Merino and Cashmere 8515, and it is, the colorway is called Chestnut, and I just love it. It does probably not showing up on camera, but there's a real red undertone to the brown, and it's really got a lot of depth, and I love it. And I have a lot of orange yarns and stuff that I needed stuff to set it with, so I'm like, I'm gonna do it. But then I bought 6 skeins just in case I want to make a sweater out of it. And then it was in the sale bins for 30% off, but apparently there was some sort of, it had been sitting there a while, so I actually got it for 50% off. So I'm not complaining about getting 6 skeins of yarn with cashmere in it for 50% off. Not complaining. I also went on Ravelry and looked at D-Stash and found this set of a Miss Babs gradient in the Yummy 2-ply. It's called Shades of Gray, and it's from light through dark gray. Yeah, I don't know that I'll make myself something with this, but there's somebody named Sarah out there that might get something out of it. And then I already had this. This is from Cynthia's stash in the basement. This is another set of Miss Babs gradient in Yummy 2-ply, and it's called Redbirds. And so it's got the black and the grays and the 2 reds. And then I bought this to go with it, and I'm gonna make Amber O'Brien's the Celadon shawl, because I've been wanting to make it for a while. And then later this winter, I went to Stash and pulled out some more Cynthia Stash, and this is going to be another baby sweater, but this one's going to be very soft and she can wear it against her skin, and it's going to be little and cute and adorable, and I can't wait to make that, but that's later on. So I think that's about all the knitting this week. The garden is still doing well. It is really cooled off. So all the brassicas that I planted, so the kale, even the cabbage that was looking really sad to begin with, the broccolis, they're all doing amazing. My raised bed, which is the fall crop specifically, has come in gangbusters. I really need to get out there this week and thin them back. And I have, this is not just the knitting notebook, this is also the gardening notebook. And in the gardening section, I have it all written out for boy, I'm just leaving a lot of dead air here, aren't I? I have it all written out for how far apart they need to be when I thin them. So I will carry my little notebook downstairs to the bed and look at it while I thin them. I need to get those thinned out so they'll grow in. Powdery mildew has really just, I had a real pretty yellow squash that was doing really well, and now it's got 3 little leaves on it about this big. I'm trying to keep it alive. We'll see what happens. The new cucumber I planted is coming in gangbusters. The new squash I planted is doing pretty well. The old squash is still struggling along. The tomato plants are all still alive and ripening a lot of tomatoes. And I think unless September takes a real dip into the 30s next week, which it doesn't look like it's doing, as long as we continue to get the 50s, I should get quite a few more ripe tomatoes. And what I really want are those Cherokee purples. So I'm hoping that my Cherokee purples will ripen up. Peppers are doing great. Just letting them go. We'll pull them off as soon as the weather threatens. I want to try to overwinter my peppers. I want to put a shelf. There is a window right there in my bedroom. I want to put a metal shelf there. I want to dig them up. You keep just the main root ball. You put them in like a 1-gallon pot. You cut it back to about this tall, and you give it, just a little bit of sunlight in the winter and a little bit of water. And in the spring, instead of buying new baby plants, you replant the already established plant, and it should get bigger faster and produce a lot more peppers. And I will eat more peppers. Yes, I will. So that's my goal for my peppers, but that's not until we start getting in the 30s at night. I need to go do a lot of work in the yard. I mean, I'm in knitting mojo, but like I need to cut back the black raspberries. I need to cut back I guess I can just wait and deal with the hostas all the way to the ground. But like I still need to dig that tulip bed. I think I'm going to send my kid out today to do some digging because it's nice and cool, and we have had rain, so the ground should not be a brick. But I need to finish the site. I'm not going to list out everything I need to do, but man, I got a lot of work I need to do out there. But I keep knitting instead. Um, and finally, I got to see. We're going to skip now over to the Hero Flicks. Got my Loki shirt on from when I watched. My sister bought me my Loki shirt to watch the Loki D Plus show on, which was amazing. But we went and saw Shang-chi Thursday night, and we went to my local favorite theater, which I'm really afraid is about to close. Just have a feeling. But we went to the VIP section. It was the busiest I've seen that theater this summer. I've been to 4 movies this summer, and like one of them was Free Guy, one of them was Fast 9, and one of them was shoot, I forget the name of it, but it had Toni Collette in it, and she raised a racehorse in England, and it became a big winner, and that just I like in small independent movies, and I love movies about horses, and I love Toni Collette, so I went and saw it. Um, but there were more people in Shang-Chi than were in any of the other movies, so Marvel still has appeal above and beyond a lot of other movies. Um, but it still wasn't full, not even close. And we stayed masked the entire time. Me, my friend Kat, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We all stayed masked the entire movie. But man, was it worth it? Oh my God, it was so good. It's so pretty, and they based a lot of it off of the Chinese wushu movies, which Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon would be an example of a wushu movie. So that stylized style movies, they didn't do any wire work like the up in the trees bouncing off. They didn't do any of that because that's not really Marvel, and that would really be a little too far. But there's a scene between 2 characters in the middle of the movie where it's a fight, but it almost looks like they're dancing. Oh, and it's just such bright colors, and all of the actors are so amazing, and everybody brought their 110% game. Didn't matter how small their part was, nobody gave less than 110%. I mean, they were all just serving it. And it was heartfelt, there was a heartfelt